Why, hello, and welcome to another episode of Collect All Monsters, a mini episode where we talk with one collector in particular. The guy I'd like to introduce to you right now, I know him as Dopepope mostly, but I'll probably be calling him Joe for this interview. Dopepope is a digital artist who I've seen his work like for years and years and years, since even I think kicking things off, I guess, around 2014 when the legendary Godzilla was being released. And it is really my pleasure to have Joe, aka Dopepope, here with us today to talk about some of his artwork and some of his production artwork that we'll be definitely getting into. Joe, thank you so much for being part of this episode. It's good to have you on, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pretty cool, nice setup you have too.
Thanks, man. Hopefully, I'll be able to get one of your guys back here in the future.
You will.
So,
more than one.
More than one, at least. Yeah, right. And so tell me a little bit about how you got your start. How did your origin story in giant monsters begin?
Let's see. It wasn't until I started using ZBrush that I made any kind of impact on the scene. And that was 2013, the summer of 2013, when I embraced ZBrush as my one and only medium for creating artwork. Before that, I was an illustrator, and I would draw kaiju and draw monsters and shoot whatever the hell I felt like. And it never really connected. Like, it never felt like I was doing what I wanted to do. My images never really felt like I wanted them to look that way. But once I started sculpting, I realized that I was a sculptor and never knew it. So I just kept with the sculpting. I loved it, and I didn't stop. And I would do a monster a day. And then that would trickle into doing commissions. And it wasn't about making money, but it was about just practice for pay. So I would do really cheap commissions, and then that snowballed into more expensive commissions. And then I would get better at what I was doing, so the commissions would look better, and then I would get more inquiries. And then next thing you know, toy companies are reaching out, and it just snowballed from there. And it took me where I am now, which is still a work in progress. I'm still trying to learn new things and get better, but I'm very happy with what I've accomplished so far, and I would love to just keep that going.
That's awesome, dude. Are you actually completely self-taught with ZBrush, or did you actually learn from a school or a class or something?
Initially, I did take a class, because you kind of have to take a class to learn the interface. And I don't have any traditional sculpting experience either. So a lot of it is self-taught, like watching tutorials and just getting in there and putting the time in every day. That's all me. But I'll be damned. Yeah, of course, I went to a class and I learned what button did what, just to get started, because it's really hard to teach yourself that stuff. But once you get past that, it's a matter of just getting in there and figuring out, I want to know how to do this in particular. So you research, you watch a tutorial, then you try it, then you like it, and you do it again in your next piece, and you do it again, and then you start incorporating all new things, and then before you know it, 6 months goes by and you know a lot, and you don't even realize it. You just know a ton. You're good at what you thought you suck at. And this goes on. And then year after year, it just keeps going. You get better and better. So that's why I always tell people, just practice the hell.
Yeah, right?
Practice.
Stick with it. Stick with it every day. Totally. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So how do you like the digital medium of sculpting versus just regular illustration? It seems like it suits you much better.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I just love it. I need a lot of work. I still have to practice on so many things and learn new techniques. But man, I just love watching something come alive in 3 dimensions. That was one thing I didn't care for about illustrations. I would be drawing one perspective or one frame, one position, and immediately my mind would go on to, what does this thing look like from the side? So then I would have to start drawing that thing from the side, and I would never get anything finished, because my mind is going in circles around this thing, but my hand can't draw that fast, or I can't keep up, and it never looked as good. ZBrush takes care of that for me. I know what it looks like in 3 dimensions immediately, because it's already in 3D, and that's what I didn't know I always wanted, and that's what ZBrush delivered for me.
I've been a drawer ever since I was young, right? Been drawing my whole life, and when 3D that 3D sculpting and 3D artwork sort of stepped into my personal creative mental space, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I haven't taken a class though. I definitely would be interested someday in taking a class on digital sculpting, especially since I've done, physical sculpting in real life.
Right. That's a great way to start. although it's not even necessary though. But it's an amazing, if you know you have a feel for sculpting, then yeah, by all means dabble in some digital, because it's just fun. It's just really, really fun. It feels great. It really does. So just, I would encourage it.
What would you say was probably your premier piece that people started taking note of Dopepope?
I think I know it. I think it was that Gigan Muto hybrid.
Dude, that was probably the first thing I saw for sure. Like there was a whole series of just like fan art pieces coming out, like during the announcements and during the reveals and even after the movie. And yeah, your Gigan Muto styled version is pretty dope, I have to say.
Honestly, I had no idea that people liked it as much as they did. I know there's people out there that hated it, but but for the most part, it was welcomed, and they loved it. And people thought it was actual concept art for the next film or whatever, stuff like that. I know a lot of my art somehow got caught up as being actual concept art for the film, which was never the case, and it was accidental. But I guess that made it, people search for it more, and it just got more viral. But that Muto Gigan thing, which I just did for fun, it went viral as far as things, as if that term even applies. But it got out there and circulated, and I guess that's how people got their eyes on me for the first time. And from there, it just built.
So, what would you say is the most challenging aspect of sculpting a kaiju specifically?
Okay, if you're trying to mimic the suit exactly, that's the most challenging. But if you're just trying to capture the essence or the feel of that monster, but add your own thing, then that's the most fun. So that's the difference. Working for X Plus was something where they wanted the suit look, and that was very challenging because you don't realize how much you're doing it wrong. You think you got it right, but you don't have it exact. There's a big difference between right and exact. So yeah, when you're working for that specific suit look, it's beyond challenging.
Tell me a little bit about how you got involved with X Plus and with even just further out beyond X Plus into just digital pieces being produced into physical pieces.
Okay, well, the X Plus thing, they out of nowhere they contacted me, and that was amazing. It was like my heart blew up in my chest. Like, to be able to work for X Plus was a dream come true. And the fact that they cold called me and I wasn't hounding them just made it all the more better for me. But and working with them was amazing to see unfold, because I initially would go into this just sculpting the way I sculpt, and that's when they were happy to see that. But then they would start telling you, okay, this doesn't look like the suit here, and it doesn't look like the suit here. And that's when I just mentioned how difficult it is to see how much work goes into these suits, and how much they are proud of the exact look of the suit, and that's what they want to emulate and they want to capture. And to be able to deliver on that is a lot more challenging than you would ever think. So I learned a lot. It opened my eyes to how things are done. And I have so much respect for X Plus and all the sculptors that work with them, and the painters too, because it's the paints that really bring these things to life after the sculpt. So that was beyond challenging and one of my most proudest moments for sure.
Now, did X Plus have monsters in mind? Did they say, we want you to tackle this kaiju specifically? Or did they have like a list of potential options for you?
No, they said which one they wanted, and that was it. Both. They were like, do you want to work on Iris? And then after that was, do you want to work on Orga? And honestly, I wasn't going to argue with them. The answer was yes, regardless of anything else. Of course, I want to work on whatever that is. And which is funny, because Iris was not really one of my favorite kaiju suits, not one of my favorite monsters at all. But once I started sculpting her, I couldn't believe how much respect I was having for the forms and for the shapes that were involved, and how precise they were, and what this thing actually was, and this crustacean monster that was like just evolving into this big, beautiful creature. And I just love the suit now. I have this newfound love and respect for Iris that I just didn't have. And it really is cool when to discover that as you sculpt, as you work, you realize the respect and love they put into these suits, and then you gain it as you work. It's cool. It's a very cool connection to make.
That's super awesome. You know, I believe I read somewhere, I think it was on kaijubattle.net, that you actually had to get that approved by Shusuke Kaneko, the director of Gamera 3.
Yeah. And in both cases, they have to be approved by, well, Tolo had to approve Orga, and that was true about Iris as well. And it's nerve-wracking. I was always expecting the email to say, we're not going to use it. Sorry, he didn't like it. And well, it's too bad. But it didn't happen. And, I'm aware there's work that's done behind the scenes to like make pieces and areas look better. It's not 100% my work. It never is 100% somebody's stuff. There's always something going on behind the scenes to make it look better. But to be able to be involved in any way, it just makes it thrilling to me. So.
Did you face any specific challenges in sculpting for X Plus versus just on your own for fun? Like in terms of making something for production, like where it's going to be mass produced as opposed to a one-off piece?
Like I said earlier, the most challenging and the thing that was like the biggest obstacle was capturing the suit look. Specifically, it had to be movie accurate, and I'm not really ever going for that as much as it might look like I am with my pieces, because I do love the suits. Just my default setting is I love the suits and I love them, and I try to capture as much as I can when I do. But I'm often putting my own thing in there. I'm pulling shapes out and making them bigger, and the teeth are sharper and the eyes are meaner and smaller, and I'm just doing my own proportions and I'm adding my own thing. And then you can't really do that when there's a distinct look that they have in mind. And you have to battle your ego. That's a big challenge. Like it's kind of like them saying, we don't want what you want, we want what we want. And you have to fight through that and understand that, and don't be shut down by it, and don't let it discourage you. If anything, it's just another challenge. Can you pull that off? And if the fact that, they went with what I did, it was very, very validating, and it felt good to be able to please them. So yeah, that was the biggest challenge. But in terms of getting things made, when I first started sculpting, I'd never thought about 3D printing these pieces. And the models I have from back in the day they're broken, and they're just horrendous from the backside, because I did it to create a 2D image. So it's a photo basically, and around the scenes, it's a terrible looking broken model with things out of place. And if I 3D printed it, it would be horrendous. So now when I sculpt, I understand that it will be 3D printed, and it's got to look great from all sides, and it's got to work from every nook and cranny. It can't be something that is going to cause problems. And that's still a learning process for me. I still don't know I don't 3D print my own things. I don't even have a printer, but I'm learning. Every project that I have that gets printed, I learn more and more about what can be done and how you do it. And things have to be cut up, and be aware of that. And yeah, that's a challenge for every piece I do now.
Now, how does it feel to finally be able to hold like a physical Orga in your hands from the production?
That's a great question, because I thought about that so many times. When you start doing 3D artwork that can be 3D printed, there's getting a 3D print of your stuff and then looking at that and feeling that. And then there's a toy of something that you have made. So there's two different feelings. The first time I felt a 3D print, I was pretty much in awe of it. Like, it's just to see something that you sculpted and have it in your hand and feel the weight of it. And I'm pretty sure it was either a Muto or a Thanos head that I had, and it was exhilarating. It really was. But then to get an X Plus toy of a sculpt that you made, like this is the Orga that I sculpted, and to have it and to be able to like feel the vinyl and look at the paint on it, it's absolutely thrilling. If you just it's just really weird to see, like, I did that. And I'm an X Plus fan my whole life. I've always admired their work. And then to say, and this is the one that I sculpted for them. It's just, it's bucket list stuff, man. This is
Dude, ever since it was announced, I was like, God, congratulations, man. That's so amazing. Like, really so amazing. If viewers out there aren't actually aware of this, I want to say that this is probably, I mean, Joe, is this the first or one of the, it's got to be one of the first collaborations that X Plus has done with an American artist for sculpting, at least?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I honestly have no idea what the answer is to that. That's a great thing to think about, though. I know
I've been following the company for a long time, and I definitely you are the first person I've heard of for sure to at least be really announced as like the artist. Yeah,
it's amazing. If that's true, then that's even more amazing, and it makes me feel even better.
Well, somebody will probably comment like in the video right now, like, no, it was actually so and so from such a date, but
right.
Regardless, man, I'm super, super pumped that you have been chosen by X Plus for a couple of figures. Do you have anything on the horizon with them or with any other companies that you'd like to talk about?
As of yet, I have nothing with X Plus. I'm so open to work with them again. Absolutely. I would love it. It would be just more dreams come true for that, but nothing on the horizon so far. You'll be the first to know if it changes.
Excellent.
But I do have something with Mondo Toys. It's the Pulgasari toy that I sculpted with them. And there's images out there, definitely on my Instagram feed you can see. And that hasn't been released yet, but it was revealed at the last few toy fairs and some other shows, the Mondo toy show that they had, that was revealed there. So I know for a fact it's coming out. It looks fantastic. And that's the next thing that's coming.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous, man. Congratulations on that as well.
Yeah, it does look really cool. For a very obscure monster, that's a great collectible for it. Probably the coolest one I've seen.
Oh, yeah, there's so little pieces for Pulgasari out there. I can't wait to have that. All right, so what are some of your other favorite pieces that you've tackled throughout the years? Digital pieces, not necessarily that they have to be physical.
Well, I have a bunch of them here.
Excellent.
And I have a bunch of them here that I worked on over the years. This is probably one of my first ones that I worked on with Planet X toys, and it's an Umbrasaurus, and it's a take on the old little toys that came for 99 cents. And you've seen them. I grew up with these toys, and this one was always my favorite. So I had the chance to sculpt this one for a toy company, and then this was probably the first toy I saw made into a vinyl toy, and I was thrilled with this. I understand it didn't sell the best, but people just, I guess, don't have the love for this guy that I do. But I still love this figure, and hopefully one day people will be like, "Hey, I gotta have that," and make it a collector's item or something. But that was one. This is a recent piece I did with Miscreation Toys. It's Skelleen, the morning doll. It's not a kaiju, really, but I just really do like the way it came out. It's bizarre, and it's I like cool. when I get an opportunity to do things that are not necessarily kaiju related, but still in my wheelhouse. I jump at those. I really enjoy that.
How did you like sculpting cloth as opposed to like rubber skin?
Yeah, it's once you put that cloth-like texture in there, and you're careful with your folds, it comes to life as cloth. And,
awesome.
And I do really think that it's not coming across on the screen, I don't think, as well as it does when you look at it. But yeah, I mean, it really popped.
Right on.
Here's a piece I'm very proud of, which was probably one of the most challenging pieces I've ever worked on. This is a James Groman design. It's War of the Colossal Beast of Frankenstein's Planet. It's a long name.
Wow.
But this piece is amazing. It's got a face on the back as well.
Wow.
And it's got a lot of other pieces that I don't have in front of me, but the hands come off and they interchange. This guy comes out. It's really, really, really cool. That was probably one of the best pieces. I was still budding in the career, and James Groman reached out and wanted to know if I could work on a digital piece for him based on his designs, and I jumped at that chance. But see, I love his stuff, and again, I was like, I was honored. Like
that's
I didn't,
super cool.
I thought I was so obscure, the fact that this guy even knows who I am, and then I get to work on something like that, and the fact that I pulled it off, I'm in awe of myself because his stuff is crazy. It's so detailed and so specific, and I was a challenge like you wouldn't believe, and I'm very proud of the way it looks, and I think he is too, which makes me feel great.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
And are there any monsters out there that you've always wanted to tackle but have never taken the plunge to start making your digital version of a previously existing kaiju or even anywhere in the world monster? It doesn't have to be a Japanese giant monster.
Right. No, there's tons of them. I mean, there's so many, but probably the most common that people ask me to do is like a queen alien or a xenomorph in general, which I would love to do. And then maybe a predator as well. The people want me to do those because it seems like something I would have done a long time ago, but I just haven't done it. Maybe they're very intimidating because they have to be, you know, you mess
Super
up.
screen accurate.
You know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen, whether it's for fun or for a professional job. It's gonna happen. But
yeah, let's bring Dopepope's aliens to life, right?
Yeah, exactly. But just about any kaiju, robots are tough for me because it's a very different approach, hard surface, but I'll get there, and then I'll be happy to do Mecha Godzilla, Mechanicon, and stuff like that.
Nice. That's awesome. So, dude, I would love to keep in touch with you in the future. If you have other projects you're willing to share with us,
Sure.
other digital toys or digital pieces being made into toys, please reach out. Don't hesitate. We'd love to have you back on for another segment. Talk about more Dopepope artwork and its physical representations.
Thank you. I sure will keep in touch.
Now, if the audience wants to check out some of your artwork, where do you post that mostly?
Instagram, Dopepope, zeros for O's, Twitter, and ArtStation. You can check me out. That's where I post all my good stuff. ArtStation. It's DopepopeArtStation.com.
Dopepope, we will be keeping an eye on you for the future, and let's get some more X Plus releases made.
Yes.
Right, G-san?
Yes,
All right.
put that out there.
Thanks, man. Take it easy.
Bye.